Okay, we're live again on YouTube. For the record, this is position 33 on my calendar, State of Georgia versus Javonda Perry. Ms. Perry is charged in warrant number 2022 WA 09462 with committing the offense of open container violation. Ms. Perry is charged in warrant number 2022 WA 09463 with misdemeanor possession of marijuana. She's charged in warrant number 2022 WA 09464 with violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. She's charged again in warrant number 2022 WA 0946 with violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. She's charged in warrant number 2022 WA 09466 with improper U-turn. She's charged in warrant number 2022 WA 09467 with driving under the influence of alcohol. Miss Perry is present. She's being represented by Miss Attorney Rhonda Hill. The state is present, being represented by Attorney Cheryl Freeman. Miss Perry, I just want you to know that this proceeding is being recorded. Please don't say anything you wouldn't want the whole world to know. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes,
Okay.
Judge.
Miss Freeman, you can swear in your witness and present your case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Arnold, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony about to provide in the case of State of Georgia versus Javonda Perry will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You can lower your hand. Please tell us your name and how you're employed.
My name is Patrice C. Arnold, Clayton County Police Department, police officer there.
How long have you worked with the Clayton County Police Department?
I'd say probably about 4 months now.
Were you working in any other law enforcement capacity before coming to Clayton County?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And when you joined the Clayton County Police Department, did you go through a series of training and get certified to be a police officer in the state of Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on June 11th of 2022, were you working as a Clayton County police officer conducting general patrol around Terra Boulevard and North Main Street?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that particular day, did you observe a black Honda Civic turn onto North Main Street?
Yes, ma'am.
What drew your attention to this Honda Civic?
The way that it turned, it was it was a little wide. And also once it made its way onto the lane, it's kind of swerved a little bit, didn't maintain its lane well enough. So that's what pulled attention initially.
Do you recall, were there other cars on the road at this time?
I can't with 100% certainty say whether or not they were or it wasn't at the time. I can't say. I can't remember.
Okay. Do you recall what time of day this was?
I know it was like in the morning time, but it was like in the morning, early morning, probably like 3 o'clock possibly.
Okay. When you saw this Honda Civic, and you said it swerved a little bit, what did you observe it do after you saw it swerve?
I made a U-turn, illegally U-turn. It was coming out of North Main, heading northbound, so it'd be going on to Tower Boulevard northbound, and it just kind of just went across and made that U-turn and go straight down into Tower Boulevard southbound.
After observing this Honda Civic making a legal U-turn, did you conduct a traffic stop?
Yes, we did.
Tell us what happened when you conducted that traffic stop.
So we made the stop, pretty much went up to the car, and just like any other traffic stop, you inform the person why it is, you pull them over and whatnot. Javonda, she pretty much stated, yeah, she was going home for the most part. Pretty much asked her, we talked to her, like, while I talked to her though, I mean, you did see like some of the signs, the glossy eyes, the slurred speech, stuff along those lines. From there, just got a license, ran the tag, the standard procedure stuff, and pretty much asked her to, step out of the vehicle. Also, too, I did see the bottles in the back of the vehicle on the way up. It was like some, I think it was tequila in the back seat, open containers. One was already empty and one was like partially empty.
And just so we're clear, where were the bottles located?
Behind the driver. One was behind the driver's seat. The other one was behind the passenger seat. So you say in the back seat area.
Was anyone else in the car with Miss Perry at this time?
I think she had a friend with her. I want to say.
Was the friend in the passenger seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you stated that you mentioned something about glassy eyes and things of that nature. I need you to be specific. Tell me, what did you observe regarding Miss Perry when you approached her?
Her eyes, they were glossed over. She did have the glossy eyes. And then when she was speaking, like the smell of alcohol beverage was coming off her breath.
After noticing those things, officer, what did you do?
We pretty much had her step out of the vehicle.
After you had Miss Perry step out of the vehicle, did you give her any instructions?
Initially, no, not at that time. Just more or less to observe how she, pretty much how she walked, how she got out of the vehicle.
How did she get out of the vehicle?
When she got out, a little stumbly, a little wobbly, but I mean, nothing too crazy at the moment.
After seeing that there was nothing too crazy at the moment, as you stated, what did you ask Miss Perry to do?
She should be willing to take a field sobriety test. She willing to take one of those.
Was she willing to take one?
Correct. She consent to taking one on whichever.
So at that point, after she consented to taking a field sobriety test, what did you do?
The horizontal gaze nystagmus. Explained to her that I wanted to kind of, keep her head straight, just follow the tip of the pen with her eyes only, place her feet together, and place her arms to the her side. Just pretty much hold that position for the whole duration of that horizontal gaze nystagmus process.
How did Miss Perry perform in doing this test?
She kept moving her head. She separated her feet. Her arms never stayed to her side. She kept going on and on about how, us pulling her over for that U-turn was not, we had no right to pull her over. She wasn't focusing on the test itself. Kept on, stop moving your head, giving her instructions again, and she eventually kind of just gave up on it.
Officer Arnold, you stated earlier that we talked a little bit about your training to be a Clayton County police officer. In this training, were you given instruction on performing the horizontal gaze nystagmus test?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you also in that training given information regarding the glassed over eyes and the demeanor to look for if you suspected any type of driving under the influence?
Yes, ma'am.
So what were the results of after you said that Ms. Perry, how she performed on this horizontal gaze nystagmus test?
Can you say again, you repeat the question?
What were the results of that?
I mean, from what it showed, her eyes were, she did have nystagmus. She showed in the eyes. And pretty for the most part, it did give us a hint to us that, yes, she was definitely under the influence. Even prior to then, too, we did ask her if she drank before we even started the test. And she herself admitted to us, actually, that she did drink. And her words were like, when we asked her, how much did you drink? She stated, I drank, but not enough to not be able to drive, or something to that effect.
Did Ms. Perry make any other statements regarding what she had to drink?
I don't recall her stating what she actually had to drink, but I remember her saying that she did drink, but not enough to not be able to drive. Something like some along those lines.
Did Ms. Perry participate in a breathalyzer?
No, she did not.
Did you have a conversation with Ms. Perry regarding taking a breathalyzer?
She was asked after she refused. She didn't want to complete the horizontal gaze nystagmus anymore. She didn't want to complete the rest of the test. So we asked her, "Hey, do you just want to do the breathalyzer test?" And initially she said yes. And once it was out and ready to go, she denied it.
Did you read Ms. Perry implied consent?
Yes, she was read implied consent.
So at some point, was Ms. Perry placed under arrest?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And what was she placed under arrest for?
She was placed under arrest for what we found of her driving under the influence. Then for more or less, yeah, just the DUI itself was what initially got her the arrest. Was driving under the influence. That was what placed her under arrest.
I'm sorry, Officer Arnold, I didn't hear the first part of your response to that last question. Would you repeat the question, Ms. Freeman?
I asked, what was she placed under arrest for?
Driving under the influence. That's what got her placed under arrest. Was driving under the influence.
Okay.
When you placed Ms. Perry under arrest, did you conduct an inventory search of any of the car or any of her belongings?
So once she was placed under arrest, she was searched by a female officer, for obvious reasons. With that, we did search the vehicle, and the bottles and everything were taken out of there. Now she requested to have her purse with her, because we tried, when a person gets arrested, they take their belongings with them. And she said she wanted her purse. And once we would get in the purse, it was procedure before we place anything or anyone in the vehicles, we have to search it. That's when that search conducted of the purse and those substances were found.
What was found in the purse?
So she had some baggies in there. One was like, it was like a tan little baggie and it looked powdery and stuff. It looked powdery almost. And then there was some clumps of green substance that was in there. Some was in the baggie and some had fallen out of the baggie that was in it.
I guess the items that have fallen out of the baggie was this substance in her purse?
It was in a purse, yes. Everything was in a purse. And then it was also like a little, like a grinder or some kind of a holder that had some marijuana in it.
At any time, officer, did you or another officer ask to get consent regarding her purse?
I don't recall 100%. I just know she says she wants a purse because she wants to take that with her.
Okay.
She wanted to take it with her. And like I said, before we place anything in the vehicle, any person or item, it is checked before it's placed in the vehicle.
I just wanted to make sure you stated that. I couldn't recall if you had said that because some parts are breaking up. Just want to make sure. Were you able to determine what the substances were that were in the baggies?
Yes, it was brought back to the precinct and it was field tested. And we were able to determine that the brown substance that was powdery and substance was MDMA, and the green clumps were mushrooms.
And both of those items were tested?
Correct.
The results were positive?
Correct.
Did you locate any other narcotics on Ms. Perry or in her car?
That was all we found was what was in that purse.
And one of the charges you listed for Ms. Perry was possession of marijuana less than an ounce?
Correct.
Was there marijuana found in the car or in Ms. Perry's purse?
In the purse.
Was it in a bag?
No, it wasn't like a little container.
Was this container inside of her purse?
Yes.
And was that less than an ounce of marijuana?
Yes.
Officer, how were you able to determine that that substance was marijuana?
From its odor, from we're looking at it, and it was other officers there who were more senior to me on the scene. Like I said, so just during that period of time, I'm still fairly new, and with everything I did, I kind of got someone senior around me to verify. So and they were, for the most part, they were on point, like, hey, this is what it is.
Was the passenger that was in the vehicle, was that person placed under arrest for anything?
No, ma'am.
Did all of this take place in Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Hill?
Thank you, Judge. Let's see, Officer Arnold.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you release the vehicle to the passenger that was in the car?
Say again?
Did you release the vehicle? Was the vehicle released to the passenger that was in the car?
No, ma'am.
Or was it towed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Officer Arnold, when you proceeded to stop Miss Perry, how long did you observe her before she made this turn, this whiteout turn?
I wouldn't say it wasn't that long. It was just one of those situations where it was like a series of multiple turns that happened fairly quickly that raised an eyebrow.
So were you following her at the time?
Oh, I was not following her, ma'am.
Okay, you were sitting idle on the road and observed her?
I was going, I would say the opposite direction of her initial first turn. And then I proceeded to stop and observe the rest of the series of following turns. Then I moved on and actually went and pulled her over.
Okay, in your earlier testimony, I believe you said that she was driving on North Main Street. Is that right? Or was she driving on Terra Boulevard when she made the U-turn? Do you know which street she was on?
The U-turn itself, it was from North Main onto cut across going down onto South Tyra. So she was northbound on North Main, where you would come out and get onto like North Tyra Boulevard, and she cut straight across and turned down onto South Tyra Boulevard.
Now, I'm not familiar with the roads in Clayton County, but on North Main, is that a divided highway?
Yes.
It is. So, let me see. So, are U-turns on a divided highway, are they common on a divided
Say
highway?
again?
Are U-turns on a divided highway, are they common?
In areas where they are permitted.
Was there a sign where she turned that forbid U-turns?
No, ma'am. Not that I recall, no.
Okay. So the U-turn, if she did make one, was legal.
Say again?
So the U-turn that she made, if she did make one, is legal. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say for certain that it was. Granted, there was not a sign there. From my time of patrolling that area I've never seen U-turn conducted in the area. It's always been traffic coming off of North Main, flow onto North Tower Boulevard, made their way up the next few lights to conduct the proper U-turn and come back down south.
Okay, but you did not give her a ticket for making an illegal U-turn. Oh, you did give her a ticket for making.
She was cited for the U-turn.
Yeah. But as you recall, there was no sign there that forbid a U-turn. Is that
Correct. It was not a sign. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. When Miss Perry arrived at the police station, were there any additional tests conducted on Miss Perry while she was in police custody?
At the prison, she consented to the implied consent for a test of her blood. So when she got to the prison, there was a blood kit that was used and blood was drawn from her.
And what was the result?
Result, I did not at the time. I didn't get. All we did, we received the results, and we placed it in the boxed it up and placed it in the mail. So at the time, I didn't get the results from the hospital, the jail at the time.
Okay. It was a little unclear. Your testimony earlier was a little bit unclear on how the conversation, how it began when you approached the car to speak to Miss Perry. Could you tell me the first thing you asked Miss Perry for, or how that conversation began when you spoke to her?
As far as like verbatim what happened, I can't recall, but I know like standard procedure, like I said, we walk up and on our way up and our approach to the vehicle, you observe the rear seat the rear compartment, make your way up. That's where the containers were seen. They made their way up. You pretty much inform the driver as far as why it is you pull them over. And then you proceed from there.
Okay. So did you ask Miss Perry for her driver's license and registration before she got out the car or while she was still seated in the car?
While she was in the car.
While she was in the car. And when that returned, did you check on it to see if it was valid first?
Correct.
And then you returned to the car and asked her to step out?
I never left. When we were at the car, I never left the car. I stayed there at the car, did everything was done over the radio, and it came back that everything was good to go.
Okay. And you said, so why did you ask her to step out the car?
Again, like I said, her speech was slurred. Her eyes were glossed over. And then that smell of that's the smell of the alcoholic beverages that were coming off of her breath.
Okay. Was your body camera operative during this investigation?
I can't recall with 100% certainty. I would hope that it was. I can't recall with 100% certainty that it was.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. At what point was she Mirandized?
After she denied the Mirandized.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that answer?
I know we read implied consent. I can't recall if she was Mirandized.
Okay.
I know implied consent was read. I cannot recall if we read the Miranda rights.
Okay. You said that Miss Perry also wanted to take her purse with her to the jail, and that under, I guess, Clayton County police policy, you were required to search it. Did you let Miss Perry know that you were going to be required to search her purse before removing it from the car?
I can't recall if I stated that or not. I can't recall at the time. Yeah, I can't recall with 100% certainty.
Okay. And just to be clear, the alleged marijuana that was found was not field tested. Is that correct?
Correct.
Let's see. Let's go back to that turn. You said that she made a wide turn when she was turning. Did she go out of the lines?
Yes, correct. She did not maintain the lane. When she made the turn onto North Main, she got there and then she swerved. Then she went back out and made her turn back onto, that's when she conducted an actual U-turn onto South Tower Boulevard. She did not maintain lanes.
So, Officer Arnold, I have to ask why did you not cite her for failure to maintain lane?
Might be an error on my part or a slip of the mind. But the U-turn was what really prompted that initial pursuit to go ahead, and they did the failure to change lane kind of raised the eyebrow, but the U-turn was like, whoa, what are you doing? And that's what led to me actually going ahead and conducting a traffic stop.
All right. Okay. Let's go to the horizontal stagmus test. You said that at first she was complying with you and taking the test.
Correct.
And how long were you having her hold the position for? Do you recall?
I cannot recall how long she had to hold that, and I can't recall.
How long? Do you know how long you're supposed to have someone to hold that position?
For the duration of you should hold the position for the entire duration of the horizontal gaze stagmus. You should not break that position of head straight, hands to the side, feet together. You shouldn't break that for the duration of the test.
But do you recall how long one is supposed to hold this position for? Because I mean, 1 minute as opposed to 10 minutes may not be reasonable for a person to hold that stance for 10 minutes, but maybe 60 seconds is reasonable. So do you recall how long one is supposed to hold the position for?
Are you referring to as prior to the start of the test? How long should they hold that position? Or
when you're conducting the test, how long should you make the person hold this position, and how long should you examine them for to determine whether or not they are able to drive or they are intoxicated?
and remember, and it's definitely not the 10 minutes as referred to initially a while ago, but it's a short period of time as you go through the process. I would say the whole process probably at the most be probably under 2 minutes at the most.
Under 2 minutes.
Probably,
So
probably about 2 minutes for the entire horizontal gaze nystagmus portion. Possibly.
Do you recall how long you held her? You said, was it about 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
It didn't even get that far into it.
Okay.
Before she started moving ahead and everything else.
Okay. All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, the state rests.
Does the defense plan on presenting any evidence?
No, Your Honor.
I assume you're going to waive opening, Ms. Freeman?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any argument, Ms. Hill?
Yes, Your Honor. I would ask that all the charges be dismissed against Ms. Perry because there seems to be a problem with probable cause in the stop with her. The officer states that she made a wide turn. I mean, initially he cited her for making an illegal U-turn, but there is no evidence that that U-turn was actually illegal. He doesn't mention seeing a sign of any sort that says that it was illegal. It was a divided highway. U-turns are common on a divided highway. He added that, there was a failure to maintain lane, but again, she wasn't even cited for a failure to maintain lane. So the testimony kind of casts a lot of doubt onto the probable cause to stop Ms. Perry in the first place. In addition, as far as the VGSA charges go for the alleged mushrooms, as well as the other drugs, I believe the MDMA drugs that were taken from her purse, she was under arrest, but her personal property should not consent to a search for that. They did not advise her that they would be searching her purse when they took the purse with her to the jail. I mean, when she said she wanted to bring it with her to the jail, it could have been left in the car. And so she did not consent to a search of her purse. And neither of that, she was also not Mirandized at any point. There's no evidence that she was, Your Honor. So for those reasons, I ask that all the charges are dismissed today.
Ms. Freeman?
Thank you, Judge. We're asking that all the charges be bound over. When Officer Arnold testified on direct, he talked about how when Ms. Perry turned on to North Main, that she swerved in and out of the lane, and then she made the illegal U-turn, Judge. The fact that he did not charge her with failure to maintain lane should not cast any doubt on the credibility of this officer or the stop when he stopped her and cited her for making an illegal U-turn. He stated she was in the middle of the intersection when she made that illegal U-turn into Terra Boulevard. So we would say that based on his testimony, at this stage, the stop, he had probable cause to stop her and then proceeded to give her the various tests to determine that she had been driving under the influence. Judge, the narcotics that were located in her purse, Officer Arnold gave testimony as to the procedure and the protocol regarding Clayton County, that because she asked for her purse to come with her to the jail, that before they could place it in the vehicle, it had to be searched because she wanted to bring those items with her. Also testified to that the narcotics were field tested positive for MDMA and the mushrooms. He testified as to who were more senior than he, who indicated that the other substance was in fact marijuana. So based on all of those circumstances, Judge, we're asking that all of the charges be bound over to Superior Court.
Okay. I'm gonna make an observation. This is gonna be an interesting motion to suppress. I'm gonna bind over every count except for the improper U-turn. Officer Arnold initially phrased it as an illegal U-turn, and then on cross-examination said that there were no signs that said that you can't make a U-turn there. He just thought that it was uncommon to make a U-turn there. That doesn't make it illegal. So it's not a stage for a motion to suppress. However, if that stop goes out, there may not be any other evidence. There was testimony about not maintaining lane and a wide turn. And I guess that's something that have to get fleshed out later. But I'm going to bind, let's see, I'm going to bind over the open container. I'm going to bind over the possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There's testimony about the substance they believe to be marijuana inside of a grinder in her purse. I'm binding over the violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act for the MDMA and the violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act for the mushrooms. I'm dismissing the improper U-turn, which is warrant number 2022 WA09466 because of the testimony given by the officer. And I'm going to bind over the DUI alcohol less safe.
Thank you, Your Honor. May this officer be excused?
Yes, he may be excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.